So, Watchman blows the horn here. I'm blowing the horn as loudly as I can. I am trying to let people realize what time it is. It is time for the church to wake up, open our eyes, and realize. Be like the sons of Issachar so that we know what we ought to be doing. So, having narrowed down the fact that Israel's rebirth was a key factor in identifying the end times, and of course, God usually deals with Israel in sevens, so 70 years, just like is written in the book of Zechariah, is when God turns around and starts to deal with the children of Israel. So, as Jesus said that the last generation, the generation that sees the budding of the fig tree, which happened in 1948, would not pass until all things be fulfilled. It means that we are looking at 2028 for all things to be fulfilled. Now, if we take 7 years out of 2028, that brings us to 2021. And of course, we need to leave room for the period Jesus referred to as the birth pangs in Matthew 24, which is the same as the seals. So you would expect the birth pangs to happen after the 70-year mark and before 2021. So the birth pangs would begin from the year 2017 or 2018 all the way through to 2021. At which point the final 7 years would begin. This is what makes sense, and that's the reason why the seals are the same as the birth pangs described in Matthew 24, just from two different perspectives. Matthew 24 was from the earthly perspective, because Jesus was still on earth when he was describing this to them, and the seals are basically from the heavenly perspective, because John was in heaven when he was shown the seals. So the final period beyond the 70 years is laid out, and basically we're looking at the end of 2016 into 2017 as the beginning of this period, which is called the birth pangs. The birth pangs are scheduled to last till 2021. Exactly, March 23rd, Yom HaAliyah, the Day of Ascension. So you have the six seals, right? Right before the sixth seal, the rapture occurs, Yom HaAliyah. And then you have the sixth seal, which is the fiery red dragon causing havoc on the earth. And then you have the seventh seal, and then after the seventh seal there is silence in the heavens, and the silence in the heavens lasts until Yom Kippur of 2021. Then you have the seven trumpet judgments, and right after the sixth trumpet judgment, just before the seventh trumpet is sounded, you have the rapture of the remnant children of Israel who have been around during the time of Jacob's trouble. And then you go into and then when they've been raptured, the seventh trumpet is sounded, and then you go into the bowl judgments, and of course at the sixth bowl judgment, I think, is when the sixth bowl judgment is the one that is poured out on the throne of the Antichrist. And then of course that leads up to Armageddon, and then the eventual establishment of Yeshua's kingdom, millennial kingdom, the year 2028. So this is the timeline from birth pangs, so there's the seals, the birth pangs and seals, to the end, the establishment of the millennium. So that will be 2017, between 2016 and 2018, pretty much. lasting all the way to 2028. Okay. So of course we have to rightly divide. So once you realize into what categories the everything falls into, you can now rightly divide the word of truth and then put them all in their right categories. Yeah. So when we rightly divide the word into the different categories, so we have the birth pangs. Okay. So those are the references for the birth pangs, the period of birth pangs. And then we move into the birth itself, the coming of the Son of Man, which is the rapture. These are the references. The great feast of the birds on the mountains of Israel. And then we move into the beginning of the time of Jacob's trouble, the commissioning of the two witnesses, the woman given 2 wings to flee into the wilderness where she is looked after times and half a time, and then also the signing of the covenant with death. These are the references. And then we move into the abomination that causes desolation, which happens halfway point through the time of Jacob's trouble. And then we move into that day, the day that's like a thief, the one that no one will know, which is the day Yeshua will defeat the Antichrist, the false prophet, and the dragon, and cast them into the abyss. So, yeah, from birth pangs to establishment of Yeshua's kingdom. The seals, white horse, 2017, marked out by the heavenly Revelation 12, first Revelation 12 sign, and then the red horse, the black horse, the pale horse, Christian persecution, and then the rapture, and then cosmic cataclysm, and then of course, casting out of the dragon from the heavens, and then the commissioning of the two witnesses, and the arrival of Yeshua with 144,000, the arrival of the Antichrist and the false prophets, the rejection of Yeshua, and the first 3.5 years of the witnesses prophesying, and then the death of the two witnesses and the Antichrist going into the temple, setting up the abomination that causes desolation, and then of course the second coming of Yeshua to establish his kingdom. So that's pretty much the division. So you have the rider on a white horse, Donald Trump, began with Planet Concepcion, inseminated Virgo, 17th of November 2016, and the sign lasted 17th of November 2016, and then lasted until the 23rd of September 2017, marking the beginning of the birth pangs, marked in the heavens by the first Revelation 12 sign. And then of course the second horse will be the red horse rider, which rides later, which rides in a few days, I think. And then the black horse and the pale horse, and then Christian persecution, and then the seal, and then the rapture, and then the cosmic cataclysm of the sixth seal. So the birth pangs began with the first Revelation 12 sign, 17th of November 2016, 23rd of September 2017, which also marked the end of the final Jubilee before the advent of Messiah, the year 5777 complete. Yeah, then the judgment commences in after Yom Kippur 2017, because the first year of Israel's birth was actually 14th of May 1948 to 14th of May 1949. So the 70th year will be the 14th of May 2018 to the 14th of May 2019, after which judgment would come, and judgment did come, COVID-19, at the end of 2019. So, next time we will see the reason why Donald Trump is the rider on the white horse, because the rider on the white horse basically has to arrive at the end of the 70th year of Israel, for him to be able to play his role, unleash the seals up until 2021, and then after 2021 the rapture occurs, and then we go into the time of Jacob's trouble. So the logic tells us that the rider on the white horse, the first seal, has to be a paramount ruler that comes on the scene with a covenant, with a bow, which is what the bow is referring to in the first seal. So, and the only leader, prominent leader, the leader of the most prominent Gentile nation in the world that came into power in 2017 is Donald Trump. And he came holding a covenant, a peace plan with regards to Israel. So how it's not obvious to people that Donald Trump is the rider on the white horse is a mystery to me. He is the rider on the white horse. He was given a crown. He won the presidency. He's holding a bow, a toxon, law first mentioned in the Bible. The toxon is the rainbow in the sky, indicating the symbol of God's covenant with man. So he's holding a covenant, the peace plan, and his covenant will unleash the red rider, the rider on the red horse, war on the earth. So that is the treacherous dealer, the false Messiah figure. I am the chosen one, the false Messiah figure, one of the false Messiah figures spoken of by Jesus in Matthew 24 verse 5, which corresponds to the rider on the white horse, the first seal. So that's Donald Trump. That's Donald Trump. And everything matches up perfectly with God's word. Perfectly. After 70 years, the same way Darius came into power after 70 years, and in the second year of his reign, Zechariah saw a vision of the rider on the red horse. It's exactly the same. Everything is falling in line. History is repeating itself. We're living in the book of Haggai. We're living in the book of Zechariah. It's all happening all over again. Planet Concepcion, 17th of November 2016, the first Revelation 12 sign, lasted till 23rd of September 2017, when natural disasters started to increase at an exponential rate. So it's obvious. It's obvious. The Revelation 12 sign, the first Revelation 12 sign, just so happens that Donald Trump's victory of the elections was on the 8th of November, which is within the bounds of the around the time of the Revelation 12 sign began, 17th of November 2016. And then, of course, he was inaugurated the 20th of January 2017, right in the bounds, 17th of November 2016 to 23rd of December 23rd of December 2017. I beg your pardon. So, yeah. He is the rider on the white horse. The crown he's wearing is a Stephanos crown, or wreath or garland awarded to a victor in the ancient athletic games. So this is referring to a crown that was given to a victor who was engaged in some kind of race, some kind of competition, which is what Donald Trump was engaged in, an election, as opposed to a diadema, which is a royal crown. That's not what the rider on the white horse is wearing. He's wearing an Stephanos crown. So, doesn't that speak of Donald Trump? Also, he's holding a bow, which stands for a covenant, a deal of the century peace accord, covenant with death, because it's inviting Israel to divide the land of God and to have a covenant with the Islamic nations, which the Lord totally told them not to engage in, not to have any covenants with the people who dwelt around the land. These, of course, the false Messiah figure, the treacherous dealer, and there are many references to him. One paramount one is in Isaiah 21. The treacherous dealer dealeth treacherously. That's Donald Trump, because he's going to betray Israel. So the white horse speaks of a prime ruler, first among many, like Jesus or Mama. It depicts the one that is prime. And that's Donald Trump. He's supposed to be the most powerful ruler in the world. And of course, his peace covenant is bringing a false peace, because there can be no peace without the King of Peace. In fact, his plan will do the opposite. Because when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction shall come upon them, as travail upon a woman, and they shall not escape. And if you haven't, you should go and read the book by Ingersoll Lockwood, The Last President, which basically describes Donald Trump and his election, win and everything just to a T. And basically that book is saying that Donald Trump will be the last president. Of course, this is who Jesus was referring to, which is obvious. The guy says, he turns around and says, I am the chosen one. Jesus said, watch out that no one deceive you, for many will come in my name claiming I am Christ. He didn't say I am the Christ. He said many will come and say I am Christ, I am anointed, I am a chosen one, and will deceive many. And hasn't Donald Trump deceived many? Open your eyes, it's obvious. A passage from the Last President by Ingersoll Lockwood, that tells you how people will believe this deceiver, this liar, who would basically give people the impression that he has the interest of the people at heart, and he just basically totally deceives people. And yet at that moment when the night air quivered with the mad vociferations of the common people, that the Lord had been good to them, that the wicked money changers had been driven from the temple, allusion to Christ. You see that? That the story that the stony-hearted usurers were beaten at last, that the people, William, was at the helm now. So that this figure, this Byron Trump, I think his name was now the president, and he was going to drive out the money changers, a bit like that speech, comparing Donald Trump to the speech Donald Trump gave at his inauguration to the speech that Bane gave in Dark Knight Rising, Batman. And this is basically just talking about how these people will be totally deceived. That the stony-hearted usurers, the bankers, were beaten at last. That the People's William was at the helm now, so all will be well. That peace and plenty would in a few moons come back to the poor man's cottage. That silver was king, aye, king at last. Does that sound a bit like what Donald Trump has been promising? It's going to make America great again. It's going to bring back the jobs. But sadly, none of that has happened. And of course, a warning came. The warning that came to ancient Egypt came to Neo-Egypt, Neo-Mystery Babylon, USA, Neo-Sodom and Gomorrah on the 25th of September 2014. 7 years of relative prosperity and 7 years of disaster. So basically, on the 25th of September 2014, these two calves were born. One had a massive 7 written on its head, and one had a little 7 written on its head. So, if you add 7 years to 2014, that brings you to 2021. Boom, you have the rapture when Joseph takes his bride. Joseph takes his bride before the famine began. When the famine began, the 7 years, and then it was in the 7 years that he delivered his brothers and revealed himself to his brothers the same way Jesus will. And it basically is a parallel to the dream of Pharaoh. The dream he had Yeah. So, Flee Babylon, Byron Trump, the one who ushers in the era of the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, because he is a Luciferian. He believes in Satan. Most people don't realize this. Flee Babylon, run for your lives. Do not be destroyed because of her sins. It is time for the Lord's vengeance. He will pay her what she deserves. Babylon was a gold cup in the Lord's hands. She made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank her wine, therefore they have now gone mad. Babylon will suddenly fall and be broken. Wail over her. I believe this is what is about to happen. Jeremiah 51, 6-8, Revelation 14, 8, and Revelation 18, 2-24. Neo-Babylon, Neo-Egypt is about to fall. Of course, America is Neo-Egypt. That's why they've got the pyramid on their dollar bill. That's why they've got the phoenix on their dollar bill. It's exactly the same spirit. Same spirit that built Babylon, same spirit that built Sodom and Gomorrah, same spirit that built Egypt, built Babylon, USA. So, the extracts from the book, The Last President, just basically tells us that Donald Trump is going to usher in the destruction of the United States of America, or he will be the president when America is totally destroyed. Funny enough, there's evidence to show that this is the purpose for which America was created. That its destruction would come, and its destruction would usher in the time of Lucifer. So the bells were ringing a glad welcome to the new century, but a solemn tolling. But a solemn tolling would have been a fitter thing. For the Republic of Washington was no more. It had died so peacefully that the world could not believe the tidings of its passing away. As the dawn broke, cold and grey, and its first dim light fell upon the shattered dome, glorious even in its ruins, a single human eye, filled with gleam of devilish joy, looked up at it long and steadily, and then its owner was caught up in the lost. in the surging mass of humanity that held the capital girt round and round. So, excerpts from Ingersoll Lockwood's Last President. The dome, destruction of the dome, perhaps the Capitol building? Yeah. Trump will usher in the destruction of Babylon, USA. The 13 steps of rebellion, which will usher in the rebellious one. That's exactly what's happening now. The unraveling of the US is why it was created in the first place. It was a nation created in rebellion, and that would end in rebellion and be destroyed and usher in the rebellious one. A nation born in rebellion in order to birth the rebellious one. 13 is the number of rebellion. America started its journey with 13 colonies. The seal has 13 steps till you get to the eye of Osiris, Nimrod, Cain, the original rebellious one. The eagle is clutching 13 arrows and an olive branch with 13 olives and 13 leaves. The flag has 13 stripes. There are 13 stars above the head of the eagle. The banner reads E pluribus unum, out of many one, alluding to a reversal of what happened at the Tower of Babel. Neo-Babylon, the rebellion that culminated in the Declaration of the Independence, was actually initiated by the French in the year 1756. And if one calculates from 1756 in batches of 20, you get 13 cycles of 260 years. 1756 brings us to 2016, which marks the arrival of the rebellious spirit of Cain, Nimrod, Osiris, Horus, which means the closer we get to 2016, the more rebellious the president will become, culminating in the arrival of the most rebellious of all, Donald Trump, who was elected in November 2016 and will usher in Novus Ordo Seclorum, the new order of the ages. This was predicted, a nation born in rebellion in order to birth the rebellious one. Albert Pike, the Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agenda of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Albert Pike. It is a plan. They planned it a long time ago. Walt Whitman, America, having duly conceived, bears out of her offsprings of her own to do the workmanship wanted. To freedom, to strength, to poem, to personal greatness, it is never permitted to rest, not a generation or part of a generation. To be ripe beyond further increase is to prepare to die. The architects, Freemasons, you see the reference? The architects of these states laid their foundation and passed to further spheres. What they laid is a work done, the great work ushering in the time of Lucifer. As much more remains, now are needed other architects whose duty is not less difficult, but perhaps more difficult. Each age forever needs architects. That's the architects to carry out their great work. And their great work is to usher in the time of the rebellious one. The spirit of Cain will return 7 times until he eventually comes back as himself the 8th time as the marked one, beast, the seed of the serpent, the one who will come from the east. It all started with Cain at the very beginning, and it will end with Cain at the end. The one who was marked in the beginning is the one who will set a mark on others at the end. The beast who once was, and now is not, and will come out of the abyss, the seed of the serpent, and first Antichrist figure, the demonic spirit that is destined to manifest 7 times throughout is, well, 8 times throughout our history. Eight times throughout our history, and resurrect at the last as the 8th king, who is of the 7. Oh yeah, of course, his first resurrection, I got that wrong. So 7 times. Manifest 7 times throughout our history, and resurrect at last as the 8th king, who is of the 7 that went before him, as they are all of one spirit, the original son of perdition. 1 John 4:3. And this is what is described in Revelation 17. This is the spirit that is described, the spirit of Cain, because Cain was a child of the serpent. And his irredeemable spirit keeps going out of the world and coming back until he manifests the 8th time, which is what Donald Trump and his mates are trying to usher in. Babylon USA has been the custodian of the practices of the mystery religions and is destined to usher in the father of the mystery religions, The Secret Destiny of America by Manly P. Hall. And basically that's what they're saying. America was created to usher in the time of Lucifer. And that eagle is not actually an eagle, it's a phoenix. Yeah. So, the builders, the architects, the builder, architect of Babylon USA are the custodians of the practice of the mystery religions, and are destined to usher in the father of the mystery religions, Lucifer, who is their god. That's George Washington. He was a Freemason. There he is, right there. That's the Capitol building. That is the penis of Osiris, and the dome, the womb. So the penis piercing the womb, and right here at the top, right here, there's a painting. And what's the painting? There. That's George Washington in the pose of Baphomet. One hand down, as above, so below. And this is called the apotheosis of Washington. Washington becoming a god. Yeah, what does that say? The old promise of man becoming a god. The builders, the magicians, the Freemasons, that's their father. That is Donald Trump's coat of arms. It has a double-headed phoenix. That's the Russian coat of arms, double-headed phoenix. Illuminati, order out of chaos, double-headed phoenix. Any similarities? The final chapter will bring order out of chaos. Albert Pike. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists. We shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effects of absolute atheism, origins of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then, everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose I can't really see that. Whose spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. So that's what they're priming the world for. Everything you see in the world now is being orchestrated. It's orchestrated chaos. Cover of The Economist magazine. The Hermit. Morals and Dogma. Albert Pike. The Hermit. This is all being orchestrated. Double-headed Phoenix. Is there a reason? Morals and Dogma. Albert Pike. Judgment. The Orb. The Scepter. The Orb Scepter. Russia. Double-headed Phoenix. Double-headed Phoenix. The amended American seal. Why was it amended to have a double-headed phoenix? Are they trying to tell us something? Yes, I think they are. The Emperor card. Double-headed phoenix. Orb. Scepter. Donald Trump. Orb. Scepter. The Emperor, who brings judgment. Are they trying to tell us something? The announcement of the peace plan on the 28th of January 2020 has already begun the fall of Babylon, USA. When they say peace and safety, sudden destruction shall come upon them as a woman with child, and they shall not escape. The annular solar eclipse marks the riding of the white horse, and the full culmination will happen at the buck moon. The riding of the red horse. The destruction of Babylon, USA will usher in the final manifestation of the Phoenix. And who is this Phoenix that is being reborn, that is being transformed? The Phoenix that is destroying the economies, all the fiat currencies. Phoenix that wants money to become digital. A Phoenix that wants to create human beings in his image. The Phoenix that wants to bring death and destruction. Who is this Phoenix? He's none other than Cain, the destroyer. Revelation 9:11. They are trying to awaken the Phoenix. They are trying to bring Cain back. You see, it was Cain all along, the seed of serpent, who wanted to take the place of firstborn, who wanted to inherit the earth. But if Babylon does not fall, then the daughter of Zion cannot deliver themselves from the daughter of Babylon. The exiles must return. The exiles must make Aliyah. So this is where we are, folks. This is where we are. Stay close to Jesus. He loves you. He told us all these things would happen, and he told us that he would be with us until the very end. You have nothing to fear, but you cannot hold on to life. Life must mean nothing to you now, because they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. You must be ready to die. You must be ready to give up this life right now, at any time. Only then can you really live for Christ. This is a watchman blowing the horn. Thank you for listening. God bless you. Shalom.